CBS Sports national college football writer Jeyarajah said there are three key things that any successful Big 12 team needs to have on offense, and he believes the BYU Cougars have all three.
You are Locked On Cougars, your daily podcast on the BYU Cougars, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, everybody? Welcome into Locked On Cougars, your daily podcast focused on the BYU Cougars. I'm Jake Hatch, executive producer of the KSL Sports Zone in Salt Lake City, Utah, and a 14-year credentialed media member at BYU. I am your resident expert and insider, your host here on this podcast. And as always, thank you for making Locked On Cougars your first listen of the day. Coming up on today's show, we're going to talk about BYU's offense and the three things that Jeyarajah from CBS Sports believe that BYU and any other Big 12 team must have to succeed, and why he believes BYU has the three that they need. Then we're going to catch up with Bodie Schoonover, BYU defensive end, but going to play more of a versatile role, playing inside and outside for Jay Hill on defense. What does he look forward to most as being one of the veteran leaders of an otherwise young defensive end squad? He'll explain all that, as well as looking ahead to the Portland State opener. And we'll finish up today's show by walking back down memory lane. It's our 7-year anniversary, everybody. Over 2,000 episodes later, we have made it 7 years, and we're going to look back a little bit and reminisce, if you don't mind. It's all brought to you today by our friends over at Monarch Money. Go to monarchmoney.com and take control of your finances today. Go to monarchmoney.com, use the promo code LOCKEDONCollege, and get 50% off your first year. All right, so let's start off today's show. And Jeyarajah is a pretty well-respected voice in the college football universe. He's been writing for CBS Sports for quite some time. The best part about it is he lives in Texas. He's a born and bred Texan. I know he's got an Indian name, but he is a born and bred Texan who loves college football. The thing about it is he's very ingrained, obviously, in the Big 12, living down there in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex, but he also understands the complexities of this league because he went to Baylor. He is a Big 12 grad in his own right. We are going to have him on weekly on the KSL Sports Zone, where I work in my day job with DJ and PK, and we had him on Monday for the first of his weekly visits throughout this upcoming season. And he made a very interesting comment. He was asked about why he was so high on Bear Bachmeier taking over as BYU starting quarterback by Patrick Kinahan. And he responded by saying that he believes there are three key things that teams in the Big 12, if they want to be successful in this league, maybe not necessarily win the Big 12, but if they want to be successful and win in this league, they need three key things on offense. And as he said, number one, you need a workhorse running back. Okay, well, I think BYU has that in LJ Martin, and everything I've heard about LJ this offseason, what he said with his own words on this very podcast, are that he is excited to get back out there, and the hopes are that he will become that bell cow, that workhorse, the guy you can toss the rock to 20, 25 times in a game and trust that he's going to grind out those tough yards you need to see out football games. So they have check number one, they have the workhorse running back. Number two, he said, you need to have a wide receiver that, as he said, can take the top off of the defense. And I'll say that, okay, that's a bit of a question mark for BYU because their top wide receiver, Chase Roberts, he's not necessarily what I consider to be a burner, but he's very effective in his role. I will say that BYU's wide receiving core does have some legit burners. Guys like Parker Kingston, Dominique McKenzie, they're legit track speed guys. JoJo Phillips shouldn't be discounted. I will also insert that BYU might be a little bit different if you look back through BYU's history, that while they've never maybe had top end speed at wide receiver, the one differentiator, and I'll say this is like the 1B to the 1A, that is Chase Roberts as your top tier receiver that Shahan says you need to have in the Big 12. I will say an elite tight end has been a key for BYU's success throughout its football history, at least the last 50 plus years since Lavelle Edwards took over the program and really brought it into the modern age. So I will just say this, Carson Ryan alongside a guy like Chase Roberts, that tandem I think makes up for, as Shahan mentioned, may having a wide receiver that can really open up and really push the ball down the field. I think that tandem of Chase and Carson Ryan, because I'm excited to see Carson Ryan play. Everything we have heard from the coaches, they have been effusive in their praise of this young man since transferring in from Utah. And if he is as good as he is being billed to be, BYU is going to be back in the tight end business. And that's a very, very good thing for an offense that has a freshman quarterback. So we have check on this workhorse running back. I think we can check off the box of having top-end receiving talent. I guess I'll put it there for Jeyarajah's checklist. What's the final one on his list? He says it's a dynamic quarterback. And what he means by that is a quarterback that can elevate the play of an offense and, more importantly, can offer dynamicism. I think I got that pronunciation right, to the BYU offense. And that's what he believes that Shahan, speaking of Shahan Jeyarajah, believes that Bear Bachmeier offers to BYU that McKay Hillstead, Trayson Bourget did not. And that's why he is so high on BYU's potential, even with Bear Bachmeier being a true freshman quarterback. He talked about the fact that a guy like Bear, with his dual threat capability, should have the ability to attack defenses in different ways. While he may lack some experience that you would have liked to have had with a guy like Jake Retzloff under center, coming back potentially for his senior year before things fell apart in the offseason, you trade that for the high upside of what what Bear Bachmeier has in him. Chase has seen his potential, and it's sky high in his own right. But I think the bigger point is, and I said earlier this week that I kind of projected, actually it was late last week, I projected that I'd taken BYU going 9-3 this season. And yes, that may disappoint some of you. In fact, it disappointed one listener so much that they essentially told me that I should stop being a hater and should instead be giving false hope to Cougar fans. I legitimately got the email. My phone's right here. I could show it right to you guys. I'm supposed to project false hope when I projected BYU to go 9-3. That's beside the point. The bigger, I think, issue at play here is that Shahan believes in the upside of what Bear Bachmeier brings to this BYU offense. And should he be right in his assessment of what Bear can offer to BYU offensively, Shahan studies the Big 12 as deeply as anybody, and he believes that trio, a workhorse running back, top-end receiving talent, and a dynamic quarterback that can really attack opposing defenses are a key for success, if not the key to success, he believes, to compete in the Big 12. So that's good news if you're a Cougar fan, is if they have that trio, and yes, health has to be on their side. You need all 3 or 4 of those guys, as I've already mentioned, to stay healthy this year. But if it goes the way that I'm projecting it to go, 9-3 with a freshman quarterback, notwithstanding, there will absolutely be some foibles and some issues along the way just because of the youth at the quarterback position. You're betting on the upside, the potential in Bear Bachmeier. And Shahan believes that checklist could get you a long ways in the Big 12 conference. And it sure looks like BYU has each one of those boxes checked, at least on paper, going in to this season. All right, coming up next, we're going to catch up with Bodie Schoonover, a guy that I'm very excited to see play in this BYU defense because much like some of his predecessors, guys like John Nelson and Blake Mangelson, he came to BYU as a defensive end. He's now bulked up a little bit. He's not necessarily defensive tackle size, but his ability to play both inside and outside is going to lend itself to him playing more than maybe he ever anticipated. And, well, you're going to hear him say, actually going to lead to him playing as much, if not more, than he hoped for when he got to BYU because he's been biding his time. He'll explain all that and also look ahead to the season opener against Portland State next, right here on Locked On Cougars. Today's show is brought to you by our friends over at Monarch Money. Now, Monarch Money is here for you guys to get you in your financials in order. Obviously, all of us have a number of different accounts, whether it's a 401k, properties, investments, and the best part is, well, not maybe not the best part, but the problem is you don't have a full view of them at any given time if they're all in these disparate accounts. The best part is with Monarch Money, you can give you the full picture. It's an all-in-one personal finance tool that helps bring your entire financial life into one clean, easy-to-use interface so you can track it all and stay on top of it. It's built for people with busy lives. If you've been putting off organizing your finances, Monarch is for you. It does the heavy lifting for you, linking all of your accounts in minutes, see clear data visuals, get smart categorization of your spending, and actually finally feel in control of your money without ever touching a spreadsheet. That's the best part about it. Whether you want to maximize investments, increase your savings rate, review finances with your partner or your financial advisor, keeping a clear view of your financial health and anything else in between, week to week, long term, no matter how you want to go about it, they've got the options for you guys. So when the financial opportunities slip through the cracks, use the promo code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com in your browser for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com with using the promo code LOCKEDONCollege. Today's show is also brought to you by our friends over at FanDuel. Now, FanDuel has been a long time sponsor of ours. The best part about FanDuel is they've got the options for you guys. The NFL season is almost here, and they're making sure you're ready for kickoff with a can't-miss offer. Right now, new customers who bet just $5. If your bet wins, you get $300. It's one of the biggest I've ever heard of. $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. The best part is using FanDuel. It fits however you want to bet. Player props, building a same-game parlay, over-unders, no matter how you want to go about your sports betting needs, they've got it for you guys. And also you can jump in with live action during the contest or games you're watching as well. It's quick, it's easy, and it's the best way to add a little extra energy to your Sundays on the couch watching the football. So you ready to play? Download the FanDuel app today by using download the FanDuel app today by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet, and if it hits, $300 in your account to play with across the app and their website, and it's all courtesy of our friends over at FanDuel. Thank you once again for making Locked On Cougars your first listen of the day. Want to encourage you guys, this is your time to sound off on the shows. It's an important request from the Locked On Podcast Network. We want to hear from you. Yeah, you heard that right. We put together a survey to learn more about our listeners and make your favorite podcast like this one even better. This is your chance to tell us what you like, what you don't like, and answer questions about our advertising and anything else in between. Go to lockedonpodcast.com/survey to get started. Everyone who completes the survey will be entered in a drawing for a chance to win, if I can get that out of my mouth, one of 10 $100 Amazon gift cards. Again, that's lockedonpodcast.com/survey to get started today. You also can find the link in the show notes below. Thank you for helping us out in advance. All right, let's talk BYU defensive line play. Now, that may not be the most sexy thing you've ever heard of, but I can tell you that the feeling around the BYU football program, at least along this defensive front, is it's going to be a whole new look this year, but no less effective. And in fact, the hopes are that they elevate what was a pretty good and pretty effective defensive line from a season ago. Out went John Nelson, Blake Mangelson, Isaiah Banya, Tyler Batty, etc. And in come guys like Keanu Tanavasa, who headlined this crew. A name that keeps popping up over and over again, though, when I have conversations with people about BYU's defensive line, is Bodie Schoonover. Now, Bodie, as many of you might recall, if you're a recruitnik who likes to cover recruiting or at least follow it, when it comes to BYU, was a 4-star prospect out of American Fork High School. There was some thought he may end up playing tight end at the college level. Then when he finally got home from his mission for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, BYU slated him at defensive end, and he's kind of been biding his time ever since then. He has been the chief backup to Tyler Batty over the past 2 seasons, and now it is his time to shine. He is a yoked 265 pounds, and I will just tell you, when he said, and you're going to hear him say it, I'm 265 pounds right now. You tell me he weighs 265 pounds. Those of you watching this on YouTube, I would tell you that you're lying if I were to guess his body weight. I would guess it's like 280. He looks absolutely yoked out. And the nice part is, all of that strength, all of that power, all of that athleticism that he contains within himself, it's going to be a very, very nice thing for him as he seeks to really carve out a nice role for himself this year for BYU and really, I think, become one of the guys for BYU defensive end. There's a lot of young talent in this unit they'll hear him talk about, but he's also excited to make sure that they know, hey, I'm part of the mix as well. So without further ado, here's an exclusive conversation with Bodie Schoonover right here on the Locked On Cougars podcast.
We heard Jay Hill say that you're going to be capable of moving inside on this defensive line. Blake Mangelson, John Nelson had success doing that in the past. What's your excitement level with just being able to contribute in any way or fashion this season?
No, that's exactly what it is. I'm just happy to be out there playing. I mean, I've been here for going on my 3rd, 4th year, and haven't played all as much as I wanted to. So just the fact that I can get on the field and play is cool. I'm happy. I'm ecstatic. So, yeah.
We saw you as a co-starter at defensive end. What does it mean to you to be on that depth chart and obviously be looking forward to playing?
Yeah, I'm just – like I said before, I'm ecstatic. I'm super excited, super happy to just contribute and actually have an effect on the field. So, yeah.
You're one of the veterans in this unit. I talked with Kelly Papinga a while back, and he said that you, speaking of Logan Latui, and then also Vil Pua, you guys are kind of looked at as the veteran guys in this unit. While all three of you may not have played as much as you said you've had in the past, what do you look at as being a veteran in this unit in terms of your leadership?
For me, I'm not the most vocal on the field, but just in my example, you know, I try to follow what Tyler Batty did as well. Like he was just such a hard worker all the time. So I just try to emulate that and do the same thing.
What parts of Tyler do you like to emulate the most? You said you're not the most talkative, but that was one thing that Tyler's really good at.
Yeah. I guess that's true. But I guess just the quiet things that he did, you know, things that not everybody saw. He was just super thorough and just very hardworking at all times in all aspects of football and end of life. So,
what are you looking forward to most about game day?
That's a good question. All of it. I can't even choose. Just the whole thing, just the whole experience.
We spend 9 months of the year getting ready for this season, and I know it's different for you guys when you're actually getting ready for this week and obviously game week. What is the biggest thing you're paying attention to this week versus maybe what you did during camp?
Yeah. I guess during camp it's really just our own technique, but now we're really looking at tendencies of the other team, so just taking that into consideration as we're preparing and just making sure we are very familiar with their offense and their schemes and just what they like to do, as well as making sure we're at a top shape as well. So.
Did you watch Portland State over the weekend play?
Yeah, a little bit.
Is that nice to be able to have a little bit, at least the scouting report, having watched them live?
Yeah, super nice. Just barely, Coach Hill said we have better watched the game 5 times at least. So, yeah, it's super nice to have that game and be able to watch it.
What do you see from them?
I see they have a strong motors. You know, they might not be the biggest, not be the strongest, but they go hard. They go hard all the time. So.
Now, they have a coach. Barney Ball is more of an offensive philosophy that they run, but do you see tendencies on their tape that's different? Because I know that his offense in particular is a unique one in many respects.
Yeah. I'd say I see a lot of, like you said, it is unique. Yeah. You know, they have a lot of times where we think they'll do something, they're doing the other thing. So, like, I don't know, it's just being ready at all times, you know. So,
what's it like playing alongside a guy like Tanavasa?
It's awesome. It's awesome. Like, he's a super awesome, he's a great leader, but he's also super humble at the same time, where if I mess up, he's gonna get on my case. Yeah, he's gonna get on my case. But then also, if he messes up, he's the first to call himself out and make sure that he's doing what he's supposed to do too. So I love playing next to Keanu.
We've heard Coach mention that you might look at some more multiple fronts this year, odd fronts and the like. Does that excite you, having some versatility up front?
Yeah, definitely. Especially because then it just gives you another opportunity to play. Yeah. So that's all I'm trying to do. I'm just trying to play. So
what's the biggest challenge about playing at end versus slotting down to maybe a 5 or even a 3 technique?
I would say just the size difference, you know.
Okay.
I'm 265 right now, whereas the other like 3 techs usually they're like 300 pounds. So holding my own, I can still hold my own in there, but it's definitely a little tougher. So
got to be a lot stronger and a lot more ferocious, it feels like, in some respects. And obviously, looking at it, playing at home at Lavelle Edwards Stadium, what is the home environment in Provo like? And it's different than other places you've played.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I'm from Utah. I've been here. I've been going to BYU games my whole life. So in that regard, it's just super special. You know, I've been going since I was a little kid, and just playing with my family behind me, all my family, my grandparents, my cousins, like they all come through. So it's just it's a special experience for sure.
What's your favorite part about game day?
My favorite part about game day? I'd say the beginning, you know, right before kickoff, everybody got those little jitters, and then the ball's kicked, and then we're into it. So I don't know, just that feeling of excitement but nervousness at the same time. So yeah.
What do you do to calm those nerves? Different guys have different techniques, naps and the like. What do you do?
I like to watch anime. I'm not gonna lie.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm not that familiar with anime, but I've got an idea of like some of the major like franchises. What do you prefer? What's your favorite?
My favorite anime as of right now is Hunter x Hunter, but also Solo Leveling. Solo Leveling is top tier. It's a pretty new one that just came out, but it's good.
So you recommend people check it out?
Yeah, 100%.
Very cool. Well, Bodie, thank you so much for the time, man.
Yeah, of course.
A big thank you to Bodie Schoonover, and if you're an anime fan, there you go. It might be 2 new series for you guys to check out. I'm going to be very blunt with you guys. I have no idea, I think, what he was talking about. When he's talking about Huntrix, I've got some thought that the K-pop Demon Hunters movie, which my kids are absolutely obsessed with, and I got to say, the soundtrack for it's got some absolute bangers on it. I don't know if that's related. It might be. If you are a person who knows anime and those two are related, hop in the comments and let me know so I can sound, a little bit smarter, because your boy, anime is not my forte. I've got a lot of other strengths when it comes to history, obviously sports, BYU sports in particular, as the host of this podcast, but anime, very much a weakness in my repertoire. So obviously a big thank you to Bodie, but beyond that, I think this is a guy who's going to be very versatile, and I think his utilization in this BYU defense under Jay Hill, you're going to see some dynamic looks, some 3-man fronts, 4-man fronts, and they'll move guys in and around to make sure they have advantages. I could see a whole scenario, and this is not me reporting anything. This is just me spitballing. Why wouldn't you do with what Keanu Tanavasa, with what you've seen guys like, who am I thinking of? Is not Chris Davis, the big man Aaron Donald, for example, I guess is a better example, but even though he's retired now. Remember when Aaron Donald, he was one of the best defensive tackles in the NFL, but there were passing downs where they put him at defensive end or a 5 technique, for those of you who really want to get in the weeds, and essentially found advantages for him to go up head to head with offensive linemen. He felt like he could overpower and get past. Why wouldn't you do that with Keanu Tanavas? And maybe you move a guy like Bodie Schoonover into that nose tackle position where maybe at 265 pounds, he's a little faster than the 300-pound hog molly across from him, and he takes advantage of that. I think all those are things that Jay Hill should, and I would imagine is considering using with this BYU defensive line. So keep an eye on it. That versatility, the way that BYU can morph things with this defense this year, I think could be one of their calling cards and actually a really nice strength for them if it pans out. But once again, a big thank you to Bodie Schoonover for joining us here on Locked On Cougars. All right, we'll finish up today's show next, and we're going to talk about me. Okay, not about me, but about this show in particular. It's our 7-year anniversary. I want to take a trip down memory lane. It's a crazy thing. It's been as long as it's been, but at the same time, it feels like it was just yesterday that we were back starting this little venture up, and we'll talk about that next right here on Locked On Cougars. Today's show is brought to you by a new old friend in Supply House. When your opening whistle blows on a new repair, get your crew moving forward with Supply House, my friends. Order today and see parts on your doorstep tomorrow, with over 280,000 plumbing, HVAC, and electrical items from the most trusted brands in the business. The real-time inventory and honest lead times help you from punting projects, while their industry-leading customer service always has your blind side covered, making sure that you have everything you need. You need parts for fast for a project. They have next-day delivery. Talk about a game changer, because as many of you know, it can be hard to get parts in timely fashion. The best part is the part finder tools and 3D schematics can help you save hours on the job where every detail matters. And their Trademaster perks like priority shipping and dedicated support make the whole process smoother than ever. Join the free Trademaster program today and score serious perks like priority shipping, lower prices, and a dedicated support line by visiting supplyhouse.com, signing up for free. And once again, use the promo code SHCollege5 for 5% off your first order. That's supplyhouse.com. And of course, they are real people with real service. Thank you once again for making Locked On Cougars your first listen of the day. All right, I say this almost every show, but considering it's our 7-year anniversary today, what better way to celebrate the 7 years we've been doing this show by signing up for the Locked On Cougars Insider Group? What are you going to get? Well, first off, you're going to get the inside intel that you crave about BYU sports. It's just $4.99 a month to be a part of it, and the kicker is you get a 14-day free trial to see what it's all about and see if it's right for you. And I will also add this. It supports this show. Obviously, your support by liking, rating, reviewing, subscribing, telling your family and friends to watch it, that does a lot as well. But if you want to have that, little extra added on top of it, join the Locked On Cougars Insider Group. The link is in the show notes below, or reach out to me or anybody on our team at Locked On Cougars, and we'll get you squared away in terms of getting you signed up for the Locked On Cougars Insider Group. All right. Let's go back to August 27th, 2018. In fact, let's rewind it just a little bit further than that. Let's go back to when Jake Hatch, 15-ish years ago, I'm 38 now, I think it's 23, interned for a guy named David Locke. I spent an NBA season working with him and learned a lot. And as many of you know, if you know my background, there are two key figures in what I do in my day-to-day basis, day-to-day business and career in sports media. And those are Greg Wrubell and David Locke. I interned for both of them in back-to-back years. That would be, in case of Greg, the year 2010 to 2011, and then the following year, 2011, 2012, with David Locke. They were a big reason why I do what I do today. And David told me way back when I was an intern that podcasting was absolutely going to be the future, or at least a key part of the future in sports media. Well, it feels like a handful of years later, he started this little podcast called Locked On Jazz. Well, then he realized, you know what? I can scale this. So he scaled it, the entire NBA, the NFL, MLB, NHL, and like the last frontier that the Locked On Podcast Network ventured into was this little thing called College Podcast. And that brings us to 2018. I want to say it was a few months before August of 2018. David reached out to me and said, hey, I know you've been interested in the podcasting thing. We're finally going to launch the college arm of Locked On Podcast. Are you interested in doing it? And would you like to do the BYU podcast? I said, yes, sign me up. Let me know when we're starting. And then some time went by and I didn't really hear anything. So I started this little thing called Cougs Daily, because I was like, you know what? The season's getting here, because we're in late August. I was at BYU football practices in 2018, and I was like, if they're not going to do anything, I'll just do it on my own. So I called this thing Cougs Daily. Well, then August 20th rolls around, and I finally get an email from David and the Locked On Podcast Network saying, hey, You are officially hereby essentially hired to be the host of Locked On, what we called Locked On BYU at the time. Then we quickly changed it to Locked On Cougars because BYU, was very adamant that we changed the name. That's beside the point. The nice part is I was building this thing from literally the ground up. I had no idea what I'm doing. And in some respects, I still don't know what I'm doing on a day-to-day basis with this podcast. But the best part is over now 2,000 plus episodes. We've been on YouTube for, I think, 4 years. No, 3 years here on YouTube now, at least. And everything that we have done, everything that Locked On has provided us with, the platform it's given me to talk about a topic and a program and a university that I'm uber passionate about. As many of you know, I went to BYU. I grew up around the university. It's been a part of my life literally since the day I was born. It has been an absolute godsend in so many different ways. And I have really, really enjoyed what we have built over the past 7 years. But in so many different ways, I still feel like that guy in 2018 who had a 2-month-old son who has literally grown now his entire life, knowing that his dad's a podcast host. And my son can quote the open of this show verbatim because he's heard it so many times. Little tidbit on that. I love what I do on this podcast. I know I get people from time to time and other fan bases who say, I can't believe that your radio station lets you host a BYU podcast. Well, those of you who really know my history know that I hosted Locked On Utes for about 2 years as well. I've done a lot of things in my career. A lot of things I'm really proud of. But maybe the single most thing I'm proud of is this. We have got 12,000 plus subscribers on YouTube. I'd say at least that, if not more, in the audio format. We have had incredible growth. And the crazy thing is, there's still a whole lot more we can do. And I plan on doing this forever, as long as they'll have me doing it with Locked On. They have been absolutely remarkable in the scale that David saw and what he thought he could replicate with his little podcast at the time called Locked On Jazz. And it's become a multi-million-dollar business. It's just an incredible thing. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you. Honestly, for all the support. And there's a comment, I threw it out on social media yesterday. If you've got thoughts, comments, or whatever, let me know what you guys think about the show. One guy says, I haven't listened in years, but you need to do less advertising. Okay. You know what? I can't control the advertising. That literally comes from Locked On. That's, pays the bills around these parts. It's not just me talking that pays the bills. But the bigger point is, every one of you, no matter if you're listening for literally the very first time today, or if you're a true everydayer who's been with me from the start, guys like Jimmy out there, just so many different people out there that have been along for the ride for quite literally years. I appreciate all of it. And I'm going to work some comments in here from some of our listeners. And this one comes from Andy. He says, congrats, Jake. I think I've been around for most of the ride. You've done an awesome job, and it's been fun to be a listener. I think it'd be hard pressed to find someone who's done it as long and has as large a following as you do, professional teams included. As far as the memories, I love the season when you did the countdown with the player jersey numbers and gave a rundown of every player wearing that said number. The countdown with the football season was also really cool to listen to. Thank you. And good job. Well, Andy, I appreciate that. And that really tells me you've been around for a while, because I don't think I've done a player countdown, man, at least in 2, 3, 4 years. So I appreciate that. Dennis, happy birthday for 7 years. It's a great accomplishment. I certainly enjoy your work. Man, this is why I do what I do. It's not some vain thing that I want people to talk about me. No, that's not what it is. But the thing I'm lucky to do, and the capability I have to do it, a lot of it goes to what I do in sports media in general. A lot of it goes to having a very, very patient wife. My wife has been absolutely remarkable, literally from the start. Mark says this, I wish I'd been with you from the start. I cannot remember exactly when I stumbled across the show 2 to 3 years ago, but I've been an everydayer since. Living in North Carolina, I starve for Cougar News. You've been great. Thank you, and keep up the good work. Mark, thank you. Really do appreciate that. Edwin, I started listening during COVID. Now, that was a crazy time. Talk about doing a podcast in what looked like a season that we might not have a season. He said that I started listening to COVID. I was very grateful for the insight, since I wanted to think about something positive rather than all the depressing news going on around at that time. Thank you. Well, Edwin, it's been my pleasure, quite honestly. And I that COVID season, man, oh, geez. The thought that BYU is going to play Alabama that year until the SEC nixed it. There are so many things about that. Adam says this: I can't say I have many memories or recollections. I only started listening within the last year, but I can say I've become one of your everydayers. I have to admit, you're not my first listen of the day. Says that belongs to General Conference Talks. You know what? I'm not going to be the first listen of the day, Adam. It better be something that involves the prophets of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. So I'm totally cool with that, being that second lesson in that respect. Kevin, I wish I'd known earlier about your podcast. It would have been every day, as we are called. I have been a BYU fan that's been true blue for years, long before you breathed your first breath. I only wish that I was aware of you beforehand, but I'm glad that your grandpa and your grandma and your dad and your mom raised such a good boy. Don't ever forget that. I'm proud of you. Man, see stuff like that. That makes my day. Reagan, congrats on 7 years. Steven, much has changed in BYU athletics during that time. Thanks for being an informed friend every day to navigate us through all of it. You're doing awesome work. A lot has changed. Remember, 2018, BYU was independent in football. They're in the West Coast Conference. The thought of making it to the Big 12 was like a pipe dream in so many different ways. I'm not saying all this for self-aggrandizement. The biggest thing is I have been very lucky to do what I have been able to do on this. And I really do think that we have a long ways to go. Am I a perfect podcast host? No, actually I'm not, because there is a lot that I can still improve on, but I always appreciate your guys' contributions to the show. And I forgot to do something earlier this week, and I'm going to do it right now because I need to rectify a wrong, because I told 2 people I was going to give them a shout out on this show. So Ben up at KSL Broadcast House works at the Triad Center, as we call it, in KSL Broadcast House. I happened to be headed to my car, I think it was last week, Ben, and you said, hey, you do a great job on your podcast. So Ben, thank you so much for that. Tamara Vaifanua said the same thing to me the other day. She's one of the anchors on KSL TV. It was a similar thing. And I also got to give a shout out to Chase, a young Lone Peak fan. Now, some of you who are everydayers heard me do those interviews with Bot Mulatalo and Junie Moala last Friday. Well, after I finished with Junie Moala, I turned around and Chase said, hey, are you the guy who does Locked On Cougars? And I'm like, yes, I am. What's your name? He's like, my name's Chase. I watch you every day. And Chase, I don't know. I remember how old you were, but if you're more than 10 years old, I would have been floored. And I appreciate the fact that we got a young generation of Cougar fans who want to watch this podcast literally every day. It really does make my world go round to have the support that I have been given for so long. A couple of the comments here before we get to before we wrap up here. I do want to point out that Brent and CBAD said this on Twitter. Thank you, Jake. I love the show. McKay, I think what's McKay's handle? It's at McKay DeGearing. He says, 3-year listener, keep killing it. And then Claymore Hardman says this. This is an exchange in August 2020 after everyone thought that college football was officially canned for the year. Things have definitely been looking up ever since. Keep doing what you do. And he said, much love this morning, Jake. This morning's podcast was a tough pill to swallow. Hoping for the best. Got a podcast review coming your way soon. Once it posts, keep doing what you do. And I responded. This is my response back in 2020, 5 years ago, everybody. Thanks, man. Tough to admit that I am as down as I have ever been, because remember at that point, kind of mid-August, it felt like the season was on the rocks, and in many respects it was. But BYU, to their credit, found the way to play that season. But I said, here's hoping things get to looking up soon. Gotta say, in the 5 years since, pretty much everything's looking up for BYU sports. So once again, truthfully, thank you. True Cougar fans out there. Like I said, even if you're not an everyday, you check in from time to time. I appreciate any and all support this show has gotten. Obviously, I would received. Yeah. My Utah background right there before I get roasted in the comments. But truthfully, thank you for all the support. 7 years strong, and here's the 7 times 70 more. I'm looking forward to doing this for literally ever, if I can manage to do it. And as always, truthfully, thank you for all y'all's support. It really does mean the world to me. All right. Let's sign off now. But as always, thank you for all your support of the podcast. Do want to remind you guys, we have a brand new thing happening with Locked On. Another big moment with Locked On. College football fans, Locked On and Fire TV present the College Football Kickoff. It is your ultimate college football weekly preview. Drake Toll from Locked On Big 12, our good friend, it leads the conversation alongside 2-time AP Coach of the Year Gary Patterson, former college star Jesse Hawley, and Locked On's local experts like, yours truly. A college football preview is only available that Locked On can do like this. The best part is the College Football Kickoff is every Thursday throughout the season, and it'll only be streaming on Fire TV. So check that out coming up later this week. And as always, thank you for making Locked On Cougars your first listen of the day. And until tomorrow, everybody, thank you for being an everydayer right here on the Locked On Cougars podcast.